Hey everybody, this is Flavio Romeo, and on this episode of the Towncast, we had the opportunity of going to a place called BB Props in Little Falls, New Jersey, that does props for so many TV shows, films, almost every Broadway show and touring company. They also do SNL, and Emiliano Pares shared his journey of how he started in upstate New York to becoming one of the biggest prop houses and soon to be biggest studios in New Jersey. All right, enjoy the episode, everybody. All right, everybody, so here we are. This is, of all the places that we've done this thing, to me, it's one of the coolest places. This is a prop shop. And if you don't know what a prop shop is, anything you watch on TV, film, whatever it is, everything you see is all props. It's mostly props. I mean, unless they're renting someone's house and they're using their own stuff. I'm with Emiliano Pares, who is the owner of BB Props in Little Falls. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Flavio. It's great to meet you.
I'm like a little kid. I walked around, the warehouse a little bit, and it's amazing. We're going to show you some pictures of some of the things that they do here. So, how did you get involved in props at all?
Interestingly enough, I went to school for technical theater. So,
did you really?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I went to SUNY New Paltz in upstate New York.
What is that? What is technical theater?
SUNY New Paltz is a wonderful liberal arts college. Anybody who wants to pursue a career in the arts, always look at it as long as you work hard, you can do whatever it is you need to do.
Right.
So a degree in technical theater, it was sort of an aggregate of all of the different disciplines that were inherent in the theater process.
Really?
So when I first went in, I was actually going for lighting design. So you learn how to mix colors with lights, you learn how to paint with light, you learn how to wire lights. And when I first started that process, it was really interesting to me, but at the same time, it wasn't completely fulfilling.
Right.
So there's a lot of different disciplines. When you go to see a concert, you go to see a Broadway show, you watch a movie, you have to build the sets, you have to light the sets, you have to decorate the sets. So there are so many inherent disciplines within the aggregate of either a movie or a Broadway show. So as a technical theater major, we tried everything. You work in the shop, you build things,
Very cool.
You light things.
So you built the sets too?
Build the sets, you do the sound, as we're talking right now, you see how important sound is.
Yeah.
So every aspect of the production you were able to do in this program in New Paltz. And I'm sure, a lot of programs are around in all sorts of different colleges that handle all that sort of stuff. And
technical, I never heard that term, technical theater.
yeah, and what it is,
it's all the production side.
It's all the production side. It's hands-on. You learn how to use a table saw. You learn how to use, they had cameras. We learned how to do, camera work. And you come out of the program with a wide variety of skill sets.
Yeah, that's cool. So when you graduated,
I went right to work in a scene shop.
Really?
Similar to what we have, but on a larger scale. There are, in our industries, scene shops which build the structure, and then a prop shop, such as ours,
builds in the space.
Builds in the space.
So the scene shop is building the backdrops, they're building the flats, they're building all the scenery behind a show.
Exactly.
And then you guys are, filling in between the lines.
We decorate between the lines. My definition of props is everything nobody wants to deal with.
And you'll see why when we take a little tour of the warehouse. So you worked for the scene shop. Were they down in the New Jersey area?
They were up in upstate New York in Cornwall. Actually, in Cornwall, there are quite a few different scene shops, rather large scene shops.
Are they building sets?
They build the sets for Broadway shows, concerts, theatrical events.
No matter where it is.
No matter where it is. Yeah, it's an industry that you don't even realize exists unless you're in the industry.
Yeah.
And then you have to make a commitment in life, with what I have found at least, is that you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it. There is no in between.
Right.
So you're either all in or you're sitting at home on the couch wondering why you're not working.
Yeah, and that should be with everything, right?
It should be with everything,
Yeah,
but you know, commitment nowadays, you have to work hard.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is, you know, you can't always think you're the victim. Right. You go out, you work hard, you do everything you possibly can to succeed, and eventually you'll get there.
And you will succeed.
And you will succeed.
Yeah. See, my dad was a tailor when we moved from Italy. Didn't speak a word of English.
Okay.
None of us did.
Right.
And you know, he worked his butt off for years and years, and was able to, you know, have a successful business. He had many athletes that he was suiting up. Joe DiMaggio was one of his customers.
Oh, very cool.
And you know, and ended up being able to retire. Got a
Did
place.
he make any dresses for Marilyn Monroe?
I wish, but it's hard work, and we talk a lot about that on the podcast. Is, you know, my daughter's an actor out in L.A., and it's, you know, it's perseverance. Most people quit before they succeed. Yeah. So you just have to keep pushing forward, and you did, because when you guys see the size and the scale of what they have here, because it's not just one little building. You've got a lot of, and it's amazing how you even found this. How did you even find this area?
It's back in the day, 100 years ago, every town that had a river had this sort of a complex.
Oh, it was like a mill.
It's a mill or a laundromat or some sort of factory.
Whatever they could do to dump chemicals into the water.
It's horrible. I mean, we're still dealing with the repercussions.
Yeah.
But what's happened nowadays is these sort of buildings have become out of favor. It's not a brand new Amazon facility. You don't have loading docks that are all correct.
Yeah.
You don't have the really tall ceilings. It's a funky old building.
It is cool.
But what we do is kind of funky.
It is.
So it's a perfect symbiotic relationship of the older building and what we do to make ourselves available to the industry.
So you went from the school, you went to the scene shop. How did you migrate down to Jersey?
Well, that's an interesting story. So I went from the scene shop, and then I said to myself, there's got to be more to life than just working at a scene shop, because you learn your craft, no matter what it is. You learn your craft, whether you're a tailor, whether you're a plumber, whether you're an electrician. So I learned the craft, and then I actually went on tour for a while.
Did you really?
So one of the fun things about the entertainment industry is you can work on a show that travels. So I spent some time working with New York City Opera and the Martha Graham Dance Company and traveled the world. So it was very cool. Yeah, I've been in Asia and Europe.
Their sets, and you were doing all
I was the prop guy on these tours. So again, you're responsible for the seat you're sitting in, the table we're sitting at. These are all props. Yeah. So when you're touring with an opera company or with a Broadway show, you have to be responsible for getting this in and out of the truck, making sure it makes it on stage correctly.
You're like the roadie.
You're like a roadie.
Yeah.
So what I did was, I was a very frugal individual. I saved a lot of money. I was eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I was staying at the hotels.
That sounds like me.
Where you hold up the towel and you can see through it. It was only $20 a night. I'm showing my age a little bit. I mean, this was, of course, 35 years ago. But I was able to save a bunch of money. I also met my wife. We've been married for 25 years now.
Wow.
And I met my wife in Detroit, of all places. Anybody who's ever been to Detroit? I was on a tour, and she was in the Broadway company of the show Grease. We all know Grease.
Yeah.
And she came out.
She was in the Broadway touring company?
She was in the Broadway company in New York, and I was on the touring company, but somebody hurt themselves out in Detroit. And they said, oh my gosh, how are we going to replace this person? Well, we're going to call New York, and their swing, who was my wife, came on out and replaced this person. So we met. It was very cool. We were both in a relationship, so we were just friends, and we went out to eat, whatever, with a bunch of people. Fast friends. But back then, it wasn't like now with your cell phones. We were on AOL Instant Messenger together.
You still have your MySpace page?
Yeah, exactly. So we kept in contact, and then I came back to New York and got on the Broadway company of Grease, and then we started dating. And that migrated me from upstate New York to touring the world to New York City. And then I started doing professional production props for New York City. So I did Jersey Boys. I think somebody might have heard of that one out there.
I saw that one.
So we put out, I think, 12 companies of Jersey Boys. So we set it up in London, and then in Australia, and then it went to South Africa.
Wow. So you had to coordinate
all of those things. And it's very funny. This is a funny story. I was doing Dracula at the time.
Okay.
And everybody's like, I never heard of that one because you wouldn't have heard of it. It wasn't very good. So I
It wasn't the one with Frank Langella that I went to see.
No, this was Dracula the musical. Anybody who's going to produce a vampire musical,
Don't do it.
Yeah, it hasn't gone over so well.
Interview with a Vampire should not be a musical.
No. So we did Dracula, and it was produced by a company called the Dodgers, and I was very friendly with some of the individuals at the Dodgers, and a good friend of mine, Sally Morse, was the general manager. And I saw that Dracula wasn't doing so well, and I said, Sally, Dracula's not doing so well. Do you have anything else coming up? She goes, we got this jukebox musical, Frankie Valli, something or other. And I said, well, do you need a prop guy? And she said, sure. I said, same deal? Wow. She said, yeah, sure. 12 companies later, ran for 15 years. That's the one you hope for. So that sort of grounded me in terms of being able to do production props.
Right.
So you put it together, you get everything, you coordinate how to put it in a truck and how to transport it, make sure the actors are taken care of. And then I said to myself, what comes next?
Yeah.
So I said I should really start a little business to service people that do what I do. Because there was no place for me to go to be able to take care of all of the various things that I had to do.
Oh, is that right?
As a production
There was no place like this?
No place
around?
like this, no.
Wow, and I don't think there still is.
Well, that's the thing. We fulfill a very niche market.
Yeah.
But it's a niche market only in small places. I mean, large places, but very few places. So LA, New York, Chicago.
Where the big productions are.
Big productions are. We can service those industries in these places because of where we are.
So you went for, and by the way, that's a great testimony to asking questions, trying to find the business. Because, a lot of people, they sit back. I've done it. You sit back and you're waiting for the phone calls. You're waiting, maybe they'll call, Right. It's you ask the questions like, yeah, okay. Because if you didn't, she just would have forgotten about it. And then when it was time, she would have called somebody else.
Yeah. It's really the
and that
definition
led to
of
Jersey Boys.
Yeah. We did the Jersey Boys, got it all together, and
which was a great show, by the way.
It was wonderful. I love Jersey, but it was a special place in my heart. We had 2 kids during Jersey Boys, so it was very cool. Brendan and Brianna, our 2 children, were both born during the run of Jersey Boys. So awesome. It's funny. People in show business, they equate their lives into spaces where they were doing particular shows. Right. So you remember, she graduated during Wicked. This one graduated. You have all these life moments that you put together with shows.
So from there, how did you end up saying, you know what, I think because you were alluding to it, I'm going to find a small space.
I'm going to find a small space, and I'm going to start servicing the industry. While servicing myself, of course, because I was still doing production props actively. So it started off with 1,500 square feet. I had a meeting with a landlord, and I said, do you have a space available? They said, sure. So, it's like $2,000 a month or something, which was a lot of money back then. This is like 2010 by the time I was really starting to snowball.
Where was the first shop?
It was up in Butler, New Jersey.
Okay.
And interestingly enough, that started flourishing. So it became 1,500 feet, then it became 2,500 square feet, and I was constantly asking the landlord, do you have any more space? It was like an amoeba. Anybody who's seen The Blob, it keeps eating and growing. And this is also how I conducted my business, which sometimes isn't the American way, but it was the only way that I could work, is I grew into the business that I had. I didn't go to the bank and say, give me a loan for X amount of dollars, buy a bunch of stuff, and then hope that the business supports the debt that I had taken on.
Right. So, talk about the transition. So how did you slowly transition like that?
It's an organic transition. Because this is all new to me, Flavio. I went to school, as you guys know, for technical theater.
Right.
I didn't go for business.
You didn't go for propping?
Yeah, or business school. I don't really know how to do it. Yeah. But you learn along the way. So
that was without the internet.
This is without the internet. So,
oh my gosh.
I mean, back in the day, we digress a little.
How did people succeed?
Well, this is the typical day back then is a designer would say, I want a Chiavari chair. And I would have to find a Chiavari chair. You can't just go on eBay. So I would have to run down to Red Bank, New Jersey, where all the antique stores are, with a Polaroid camera, which are now popular again. I would take a Polaroid of a chair, and then I would take this chair and I'd drive back to New York City and I'd give it to the designer, and he would go, that looks great. And then I get back in my car and I drive down to Red Bank, New Jersey, and the chair's gone.
No!
I mean, it didn't always happen, but nowadays you go click, click, click on eBay.
Is this or you just text, is this still available? Yes, I'll be there.
It's just crazy. So the perseverance, the hard work, organically growing was so important back then. And I still think it's important now. To look for a niche market, to do things that are maybe similar to what's happening now, but not quite.
Yeah.
What is your own spin on whatever it is that you're doing? What separates you from the next person? That's how I found my niche.
Having a guest like this on, that's what separates us from everybody else.
Thank you.
So how did you accumulate the amount of stuff that you have now? From when you started, when did you move into this facility?
10 years ago, we moved into this facility.
10 years?
Yeah, I got to the point where I outgrew the facility in Butler.
Yeah.
And the landlord said to me, I have a wonderful spot for you in Little Falls. And I said, okay. And I think I was at 10,000 square feet in Butler, New Jersey. And he said, it's 35,000 square feet. And I said, how in the world am I going to fill 35,000 square feet?
It seems like you figured it out.
Well, and then the landlord said to me, well, listen, I have a lot of trouble filling this space, and I'm going to give you an offer you can't refuse. I mean, it was like coming from, Don Corleone.
Yeah.
I give you an offer you can't refuse. And he showed me the numbers, and I said, this isn't significantly more than what I'm paying for 10,000 square feet. Why in the world would you...
They want the money.
They want the money, and they wanted a tenant that would pay their bills.
Because it's a quirky space.
Yeah, and it's not worth renting it to somebody who's going to pay you a lot more, but then run out in the middle of the night in 6 months. Yeah. It's not worth it. People want people that are true to their word, that are going to do what they say they're going to do, and they're going to be honorable people. At the end of the day, the landlord wanted people that are going to pay the bills and wanted somebody who would look out for the facility. Yeah. So we took over the space of 35,000 square feet, moved in, and it was filled within a year.
Wow.
Yeah. And the business model is interesting because we build the shows. What we offer is a top to bottom service. Whether you're a television show, whether you're a Broadway show, whether you're a special event, we can store it, we can build it, we can deliver it. When it's over, we can take it out, and then we can store it in the end. So what happens in a lot of instances is, let's say you're a producer of a show. You put your show together, we give you an estimate to build it. I'm making up numbers. It's $10,000 to build your show. They say, okay, terrific. You build their show, you deliver it into their venue. The show runs for however long the show runs. When it's over, they want to store it and they want to sell it to other markets. They want it to go to Japan, they want it to go to Europe, they want it to go on tour.
Right.
So the life cycle of, let's just call it the product, whether it's a show, whether it's a trade event, whatever it is only starting. The gestation of the event is in the beginning when it gets built, but its lifespan
hopefully
is quite long. But what they want to do is they want it to continue. So after it does its run in New York, let's say, it comes back, and then it comes back to us, we store it, and then they're trying to market it to other
So if all of a sudden
places.
they have a show up in Rhode Island, boom, the set's
Then they
delivered
call
up
you
there.
again. Well, the Rhode Island venue is a little narrower, so we have to cut it all down. So then, the life cycle continues.
And you're speaking from experience. I'm sure that's happened.
This is the life cycle of the show.
So let's talk about some of the shows. So if you want to check it out, go to bbprops.biz, B-I-Z, and check out, and just go to, it was a rabbit hole for me. I mean, I just, it was like clicking one after another. It's like, oh, there's prices. Oh, I want to buy this jukebox. The old diner jukebox. I want to buy that. But definitely go to bbprops.biz. You'll have fun. You'll have fun scrolling through. So I'm looking through. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's almost every show on Broadway. Yeah. And Juliet, Ain't Too Proud, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Beetlejuice, Cabaret, and then I saw all the posters that you guys have done. So when they go on a national tour, it closes on Broadway. It's now hitting the national tour. Mm-hmm. And I know you had that situation with Jersey Boys where you had 12 different shows at one time. So whether they go on a national tour or it branches out and they have 5 or 6 different shows, these other venues will call you and say, hey, we're blah, 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 we're producing this and we need exact replica. what you guys did within this space?
Generally, it comes from prop supervisors such as myself that come to us, and we'll assist them in coordinating all of their aspects of the show.
Gotcha.
And they might not come to us for everything. They know that they have their specialty person that they want to use for upholstery or painting, or sometimes we'll do it all. It depends on our client. But what I have found is in life that you can be everything for everybody. I don't have an ego with that sort of stuff either. Right. You know, some people get very temperamental about, oh, if I'm not going to do everything, then I don't want to be a part of it. That's not the way I operate. If there's a
work is work.
Work is work. If there's a portion of it that I can help in, I'm there for you. If it wants to be everything, I'm there for you. So it expands your client base, and you're, you know, a squeaky
plus you're
wheel.
nicer to work with.
Yeah, nobody wants a squeaky wheel, you know. So how can we help is the attitude that I have. Now, sometimes it's hard because you end up with so much nuttiness. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of detail in what we do. You know, everything is detail. I mean, if you're looking at this scene in a movie, you know, we're drinking a seltzer, but it wants to be a Pabst Blue Ribbon because we're down south in Georgia sitting on a porch.
Right.
You know, we will take a Pabst Blue Ribbon can and cut it down and then sleeve it around the seltzer, and that's how it appears as if.
Cool.
Because, you know, it's funny, the importance of the sound that a can makes when you go, poosh,
Yeah, right.
you wouldn't believe, you know, and this, when you put it on the table and it's plastic and not glass, these are the sort of things that we have to pay attention to. When you watch a film and you watch somebody take a sip out of something, the first thing I notice is whether there's something in it or not.
Right,
you know, if they go like this, it's like, come on.
You didn't even swallow.
You didn't swallow. It's coffee that would have burned your throat.
Right.
You know?
You just poured it.
Yeah, you should, you know.
I know.
That's as much on the actor as on the prop person, but again, these are the details that we really have to pay attention to.
So it's hard. So when you watch a movie, because I know the things that I do when I watch a movie. I'm a big continuity guy.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're eating shrimp off a plate, don't be eating it out of a little bowl the very next cut.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So when you watch movies and TV shows, do you look around? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard, right? It's hard.
It's hard to enjoy it because everything becomes.
You got to see it twice.
Yeah. It's very.
So
cool.
that's just Broadway and off Broadway, and obviously the touring companies and the shows that go around the world.
Yeah.
But on TV, so you work with shows on Apple TV, HBO, Netflix, Showcase. One of our favorite shows was Succession.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah?
Yeah, we did a lot of stuff for Succession.
Like what kind of stuff did you do for Succession?
One of our favorite things was the interior of Logan Roy's airplane.
Oh,
so
fun.
Obviously they don't.
And you did that a few times then.
Yeah, well, Logan Roy's airplane, I think it was in season 1 we didn't do. But then as they became more successful, the show became more successful, they upgraded his airplane. So if you go back and look, I think it was season 3 or 4.
There's champagne.
Yeah, and it was really well done. So something like that, again, those are all detail oriented. I mean, it's got to be good. I mean, Logan Roy is, one of the richest guys in the world. He's the Rupert Murdoch, So we had to find, because it's always easier to work from a baseline, we had to find airplane seats. And then we had to take them apart, and then we had to reupholster them. And all of these things are very specific. Yeah. So we have to get approvals for the leather, for the reupholstery. We had to make sure that...
And the show has to approve it.
The show has to approve it. We have to make sure that when they sit in the seat, all of the cushions hit at the right levels, if they need to recline or not. But then... it's a little different with a TV show because you also have to figure out where the shot is coming from. Yeah. So it has to be easily removable. So if they do the shot up front, but then they want to do the side, we have to make sure that you can pull these seats out quickly for the next shot. That was a fun one. We also did for Succession, Kendall's 40th birthday party took place in a club, and we did a lot of cool
you did the one in the club.
The one in the club. So we did like these big pills, and they had specific colors that they needed to look like. We did this crazy sculptural tree. And, one of the things about television in general that's always very funny is all of the work that you put into making these things happen, and then sometimes they never even make it to the screen. The angle isn't right. They end up cutting the scene. So there was
but you still get paid.
Still get paid, yeah. But, even after doing this for 30-something years, it feels good to see it on.
Yeah.
I remember we do a lot of stuff for Saturday Night Live as well. And Elon Musk was on. This was, I think, a year or two ago he was on. And they were worried, I think. The producers were worried about how he would be as a guest, because we all know
How he is
as a person, whether you
day.
like him or not. I won't get into that. But they weren't sure how he was going to come off as a guest. So what that says to me as a prop fabricator is there's going to be a lot of stuff, because they're going to need distraction. It can't just be a person talking.
Yeah.
So we built so much stuff, and
this is why we're having a fundraiser, by the way, on October 5th to try to raise money for better and updated equipment. So you were talking about that.
So, Elon, they were worried about him, how he would be as a guest. Just, as a comedy act, it's very different than having him, do a representation of whatever new car is coming out. So we built so much stuff, and there was actually one thing, which is funny, I'm going to bring this up. There was one thing that got cut that almost broke us. I mean, not really, but we were so frustrated with it, and it seems simple, but this is why there are people like me out there.
Yeah.
So they came to us, now think about this for a second. They came to us, they wanted Elon to sit inside a plexiglass box, right? And they wanted the box to blow on the inside and have money swirl all around.
Money contest,
right.
Money booth.
Exactly. Yeah. Seems simple, right? You go in a box and you blow money around. It almost broke us. Wow. We built the box. It was wonderful. We put a bunch of money in it. We put some fans in. Nothing moved.
No.
There are people that spend their entire lives figuring out the aerodynamics and circulation of boxes and wind and the relationship between how it works. So I was, by then, because it was Saturday Night Live, we don't really get to work on things until Thursday. They write the scripts on Tuesday. They look through them on Wednesday. They give all the build drawings on Thursday.
Wow. So
we have to have it done
in 2 days.
2 days, and that's a lot of time.
Like
sometimes it's only a day.
Yeah.
So here I am. It's, Thursday night at midnight. I'm sitting inside a box, throwing the money in the air, hoping that when the fans kick in, that they would fly around, and none of it flew around. It would go and fall. So we tried drilling holes in the top, in the sides, making pathways, doing this, doing that, leaf blowers, fans. Oh my God. Finally, at like 3 a.m, we got it to kind of move around a little bit.
Oh man.
We were ready to deliver it, and they said, they cut that skit.
No.
So all of it was for naught, but...
When did they tell you that?
The next morning after we were delivering it. I mean, it was already on the truck, and they had cut
Saturday
it.
morning?
It was Friday morning, because they needed it for rehearsals.
Yeah.
So
and it was cut.
It was cut. So it's also a testament to how difficult things can be.
Yeah.
On the surface, things may look easy, but sometimes there are irrevocable issues that you cannot even think about. Yeah. It was crazy.
And even after all these years, the stuff still comes up that you never.
Yeah, and we're looking on YouTube how to build boxes that you can blow things around on.
At least now you had the technology to look it up.
Yeah, and back in the day, forget it.
Forget it. So it's out.
It was nuts. That was a crazy one.
So SNL 50th anniversary. It's big. Like, do you feel? Because I'm sure that the performers and everybody involved feels the bigness of it. Do you feel that on your end?
I do, but I don't quite know what's going to happen
because we don't
know yet until a couple days before. I think the first show is next weekend, not this weekend.
So you'll
the next
know
weekend.
Maybe by next Wednesday.
Maybe by Wednesday or Thursday, and we could get a list this long. And as individuals, we're all human beings. It's stressful.
Yeah.
For you or I to manifest our stress in such a way that isn't insurmountable is hard. But here's another one too, is like at the end of the day, we're not the cancer ward at Beth Israel Hospital.
Right.
We're not brain surgeons. We're providing entertainment.
Yeah.
It's still stressful because you want to do a good job, but it's something that's manageable. You got to kind of breathe and say it'll all be all right and just kind of move forward.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so if you hear the echo in this room, we are in it's basically a television film studio.
Yeah.
So they have this building in front, and it's a big sign. It's BB Studios, and so TV shows, films, they come and they do scenes here. Like
Yeah.
if they need an interior for a police department or a firehouse or whatever.
We've utilized it for a couple different ways. We've utilized it as a location, but we've also utilized it as a spot where a film that is shooting in this area could just use as a home base. They use it as offices. The Teamsters will be here, the art director, the director. This will be their home base.
They'll put a wardrobe or lights or whatever they need here.
And they'll branch out and they'll shoot for the day in Patterson and they'll come back here. So we've actually had quite a few films that have done that here, and we've had a couple that haven't even been released yet. So I don't know that I can even talk about them because you sign the NDA and it's about this thick. I'm like, I don't want to get
just mentioning the NDA.
Yeah. So it's interesting, but again, I want to be able to provide a service that can be whatever it is that they want to utilize it for. Because the film industry, as we all know, started in New Jersey. So we want to bring it back to New Jersey. There's great tax incentives. There's very talented people. There's places like my shop where you can build everything. And
Well, that's the nice thing is that now you have the studio. So someone calls you up and says, all right, I need a police department, 1958.
Yep.
And you can not only provide the space, it's like, okay, what do you need? You pull it from your warehouse and you're filling it with all your own stuff.
It's funny.
Brilliant.
And it's you just have to be an individual that can solve problems. My wife, who's doing a lot of short films right now, she's doing such a great job. She's been doing quite a few short films now. She's really reinvigorated her career as an actress. So I give her so much kudos to be able to do that. She called me yesterday, and they were shooting a scene for a film that they were working on that they needed a motorcycle. And the individual who's supposed to come there with a motorcycle, he didn't show. He had some sort of family emergency. So she called me up and she said, honey,
and it just happened.
I need a motorcycle.
My husband's a prop guy.
Yeah, my husband's a prop guy. So, me, I answered the phone. I said, all right, I'll get you one within an hour. So within an hour, I had possibly 2 motorcycles there, and I called one of them off, and they were able to shoot their scene. A couple phone calls later. But it's funny. That's my life. Whether it's a horse or whether it's a motorcycle or a camel or some other crazy thing, this is what we do.
Well, and the thing is, the other part of it is, don't ever say no.
Don't say no.
Right? I mean, with someone that gives you an opportunity, don't say, oh, I can't do it, or I don't have time. Don't say no, because opportunities create opportunities. So you get, all of a sudden, you provide a motorcycle, and the set decorator there is on another film. It's like, oh, we had that one guy. What's the name of that place? BB Props.
Absolutely.
There it goes.
Say yes and figure it out later.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Now, it's funny. Speaking about motorcycles, I mean, everything that we touch upon, I could go back and extrapolate all these stories about motorcycles. We did a show, I don't remember, it might have been the Tonight Show or Saturday Night Live, where we had to provide a motorcycle. And it's very different providing a motorcycle for a film that's outside to providing a motorcycle for a shoot in Rockefeller Center.
Oh, yeah.
So we had to deliver the motorcycle. We had stringent rules as to how a motorcycle can go into Lincoln Center. I had to give, an umbrella policy and a COI and all this crazy stuff. And it cannot smell of gasoline. So the motorcycle has to be completely drained. Now, sort of objective what smells like gasoline.
Right.
We drained the tank. We cleaned it out. We get it delivered. The shoot's in 2 hours. It gets denied at the loading dock.
Because of gasoline smell?
Because it smells like gasoline. But again, it's subjective.
Yeah.
Oh, I smell gas. Well, go, smell some Febreze and you won't
Did you
smell it
Febreze
anymore.
the bike?
Well, that's what we did. We said, okay, well, yeah. We put it back in the truck. We went to like CVS or something. We cleaned it up. We sprayed it down with some Febreze. And then we went back. The guy's like, all right, smells better. And they let it in. They did the shoot. Everybody was happy. But, you have to be able to roll with the punches and come up with creative solutions. I mean, I'm not the guy that's going to say, oh, darn, that's the shoot's canceled.
I guess it's over.
Oh, I guess that's done. I'm going to go home and cry in my milk. No, you come up with a solution. You figure it out.
In improvisation, they call that yes and.
Yes and. Yeah.
That's it. Instead of no but, it's yes and.
Yes
so
and.
it's just yes and.
Mm-hmm. And you figure it out.
Well, so we're going to be able to take a little tour?
You want to walk through?
Yeah.
Sure, we can do that.
All right, well, thank you for this part so much. I really appreciate
pleasure.
that. Is that awesome? All right, stick around because we're going to show you some of the stuff that they do. All right, so where are we now?
Flavia, we are right now in our setup area here in the shop. So this area here, we're in the midst of fabricating a couple of different objects for various shows right now. So we lay them out here, and this is where all the magic happens. So we walk over to this area, And this is also another 10,000 to 15,000 square feet of fabrication facility.
Wow.
This stuff is all made for various television shows, Broadway shows, trade shows, art events. And we have some very, very specific machinery that isn't inherent in many other places. Let me show you.
Oh, is this styrofoam? This is giant.
This is giant pieces of styrofoam. This is all carved on a 7-axis robot. So let me show you what this robot looks like. So this robot carves styrofoam, wood, all sorts of different materials. David programs it here. The robot carves whatever it is the shape is. So Flavio, if you need a 10-foot statue of yourself,
yes, I was just going to ask you.
We would scan you, we'd
Okay.
get it into the computer, and then the robot would carve it. Now, interestingly enough, is the robot is in all sorts of different industries. You'll see them on car assembly lines, you'll see them in manufacturing, but in our case, there's specialty software written with a 10 horsepower router on the end, and that router is programmed via computer to cut things out.
That's amazing.
These robots can pick up car bodies and paint.
So
These
however,
robots can-
whatever you add to the end of that, like the robot is the robot,
Right.
but whatever you add to the end of it, in this case, it's a router.
Yeah, in our case, it's a router, and it fabricates cutting.
So you
rather
can
than-
you can make like 2-ton pillars
and we
weigh
can make
about 4 pounds.
exactly. They can be 4 feet tall, or they can be 40 feet tall. We would just need to stack them. Now,
Right.
I encourage you guys to go on the internet, go up YouTube, and look up KUKA rides. People have reprogrammed these things to be like amusement park rides.
Seriously?
Yes, I have been asked to do that, but my insurance will not allow me, because what they do is they put a seat on the end of it and then whip people around. I do not recommend that.
And that's on YouTube?
Yeah.
All right,
Oh, yeah.
we'll have to check that out.
So what I'd like to show you next
Yeah.
is all of our rental stuff, which is really where my heart lays.
All right, let's do it.
So
Look at this.
Flavio,
This is not a prop, right?
this is not a
We
prop.
could actually walk up this thing?
We can walk up this thing. One of the most endearing qualities about these old buildings, and this building is about 100 years old, is the quintessential spiral staircase. We are about to enter another world.
All right, we're gonna take you guys on the walk. So if I fall, we all fall. Oh, here it is. Look at that. So you've got, like, if someone says, I need a 1920s typewriter or an IBM Select from the 70s, you got everything.
We say, what color do you want?
We have every color.
Now, when my kids were small, their favorite part was that pipe sticking out of the wall because they love Mario Brothers.
Wow, look at all this. So, yeah, I mean, look at this era jukebox.
So the beautiful thing is, all of this is on our website, bbprops.biz, and go to rentals, and all of it is rentable.
Wow. This is just amazing. What was your favorite show to work on?
I have to say, Jersey Boys.
It was.
Yeah, it was one of my biggest shows, and it was also one of the most fun shows. So I just love that time period.
Oh, yeah.
You know, finding old bowling returns, and, you know, Formica tabletops, and, you know, all that kind of stuff is really cool. So back in the day, when this building was a laundromat, the rugs, they would do a lot of cleaning of rugs. The rugs would come up on conveyor belts, move along the top, and the fans would kick on along with the heat, and it would blow onto the rugs, and it would move across and then go down the other side.
And they'd be dried.
And they'd be dried.
It's like a car wash.
Like a car wash. And the floor is sloped, so all the water would fall down into drains that are in the floor. And now we've filled it with props.
Look at this stand-up bass.
Yeah, stand-up bass if you want to do, you know, the the beauty parlor scene. You have beauty parlor chairs. If you want to do the courtroom scene, you have the courtroom chairs. If you want to do the cafe in Venice, you have pink tables, or you have them in wrought iron black. All sorts of stuff for all sorts of places. It's very funny. One of the most liquid items in a prop shop are suitcases. Everybody has suitcases. So
wow,
all sorts of suitcases. We're actually running a little low because a lot of them went out already.
Really?
Yeah, suitcases are
big.
Very liquid items.
Yeah, I mean, I guess anybody any travel scene, anybody that's coming home from a business trip.
You come off the train and you have to have your suitcase.
Right, and you have every era. Look at these old round ones.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. That was a popular prop in Jersey.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
the luggage?
Yeah. Those round ones especially.
What was, is there one favorite prop that you have? Like one thing that, I'm so glad no.
You know what? It's all such a blur. I mean, I think it's just every one of them has its own story.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm a pretty avid reader too, so one of the things that always happens to me is I always get distracted when I come up here, and books are another big prop thing.
Wow.
Everybody needs books, so we have piles and piles of books. Oh my gosh, crates. Every time I see some of these things, it reminds me of stories. I once had this crazy guy that I used to get props from, and I needed, a bunch of old crates. And he said, I can't meet you at my warehouse, but go to my warehouse and there's a pile of crates. Take whatever you need. And I had to take it to rehearsal and I needed them that day. So it was really important I got those crates. So I sent one of my guys and he got the crates and he put them in the truck, started to drive into the city. I get a call from my contact and he said, you didn't take the crates to the right. You took the ones to the left, right? And I said, well, I don't know. I sent a guy. He said, the ones on the left are good to take. The ones on the right, I got out of an old barn and they got dynamite in them. And I said, what do you mean they got dynamite in them? And he said,
wow.
Nitroglycerin is very unstable after it sits for a while. And my guy's in the,
He's
in
in
a
a
truck
truck
headed to the Lincoln Tunnel.
Oh my
It turned out we took the right pile. Everything was fine. But,
wow.
You get involved in these crazy situations.
And I know Pam was telling us earlier that all of these are what you call smalls.
Yes.
Little things, pens, desktop items, kitchen items.
Let's take a look at what some of these
old
things are.
playbills. Look at that.
Old playbills, old pop cinema horror magazines, old cell phones. I mean, now that we're in the era of smartphones, they all pretty much look the same. But back in the day, obviously there was Blackberries and there was flip phones and there was all sorts of stuff. We have all sorts of different iPhones. We did some stuff for Apple TV where we needed the iPhone 1s and they were expensive.
Well, and you watch it and then it's like 2007, 2008, 2009 when people were switching, so you still have people with flips.
Yeah. I always remember I had my Blackberry. I was like, what am I going to do with that iPhone? That's ridiculous. And now I'm so addicted to it.
That's do you have any idea of how many items
oh my goodness.
you have in your facility?
We lost track. Thousands.
Look at this. This is like if you need money from other countries.
Yeah, bags of coins.
Bags of coins.
Different stools, different tables, all sorts of good stuff. If you need a basket, here's the place to come. And then you always have to make a determination is why am I storing this stuff if it hasn't been rented? So I have to go through every now and again and say, you know what, I don't want to pay for the storage for some of this stuff. It really hasn't moved much. So
crazy.
Very cool, right?
Very cool.
Oops. Lots of flowers, Flavio.
So even if someone's doing like a wedding, a themed wedding, they can call you?
Absolutely.
So you do events like that, trade shows you mentioned? Yeah. Okay, so listen guys, even if you're planning some fun event, you want to do like a 1940s theme or a swing party or something like that.
Or at your wedding if you want a big lion head with an orange in it.
There you go. I mean, where are you going to find that? Right here at BB Props. This was outstanding.
Thank you. And there's Pam that manages all this.
Yes. Kudos to Pam who manages all this stuff. Wow. I mean, what an undertaking.
Yeah.
And so as stuff comes in, you have to catalog everything and...
Yes. And then when we rent things out, then they come back in and I have to recatalog, put it back in the system so it's available to other people to rent.
Yeah. So do you manage the website too?
Yeah, well, I manage it on the front end as far as like the props.
What
and
you could
everything.
see.
On the back end, yeah.
Yeah. I looked at it yesterday. And I'm going through. I'm like, ooh, this and ooh, this too. Yeah, fun. Yeah, just little things like we do a courtroom, a fairy tale trial. So we do a courtroom scene with fairy tale characters. And so I saw the gavel, but it's that that kind of stuff. Like if you guys are looking for something, it's, as quirky as it might sound, they have it here.
Well, like a little cow. You need a little fake cow.
Right, exactly.
Or
a giant teddy bear. So these are some of the shows that you've worked on.
Yeah. Some of the shows over the years.
Amazing. Do you have other than I noticed you don't have the Dracula the musical up. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Oh,
Dracula
that's the one
musical.
I did right before Jersey Boys.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at On Golden Pond and James Earl Jones, God rest his soul, was such a gentleman. I did that with him. It was one of the highlights of my life when he would go,
Really?
Emiliano, and he would call my name with that Darth Vader voice.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
awesome. But we could go on for hours and hours. I look at every one of these, and I have stories about every one of them. Whoopi Goldberg. Oh my God, Whoopi Goldberg. When we did Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, she gave us, because it ran over Christmas time, she gave everybody in the company a subscription, a delivery of Fiji water. We would get a case of Fiji water delivered to our house every month. She must have been a representative for Fiji or something.
Wow.
And, every month I would go to my front door and there was a case of Fiji water. It was like so great. So I said to her, Whoopi, that's probably the nicest gift I've ever gotten. She looked at me and she said, child, everybody drinks water. It was very cool. But I could go through each one of these and tell a story about every one. It's very funny.
That's cool, and you get to meet the performers too.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Stuff.
Well, Emiliano, thank you so much again. This was
you for having me,
outstanding.
Flavio.
Oh no,
Really
it was such a
appreciate
pleasure. Pleasure really was all mine.
Thank you.
Pam, thank you
You're very welcome.
for your time.
Yeah.
And again, guys, look, if you're looking for stuff, you're looking for props or set design or whatever you need, or if you want a studio, you got it right here, right?
Go to our website, bbprops.biz.
All right, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, be well, everybody.